Hey, how you doing? I'm Scotty West, creator of the Absolutely Understand Guitar video home study program. Check us out on the web at www.absolutelyunderstandguitar.com. We've been there for about 9 years now. Excellent program. A lot of guys on the web are they're going to show you what to do with your fingers, and they're going to show you how to play riffs, and they might even show you how to play songs and stuff. But what we're here to do is really to get you to understand how music works, because that's really the only way you're probably ever really going to connect with this instrument. I know a lot of you have heard otherwise. We've all got friends who, they picked up the guitar and they can play, and they're telling us, well, you don't really have to know what you're doing in order to play music. But I wouldn't listen to them, because I'll tell you some statistics you might want to know. For every 75 people that start off to play a musical instrument at some point during their lives, only like one of those people actually survives what we might call the initial novelty phase and has it become something that they do for the rest of their lives. I mean, when I look back, when I was in high school, it's like all of my friends were playing guitar, but now, here it is, and I'm like the only one left. And how come I kept going and they didn't? When I look back, I think the only reason is I always had a natural curiosity about how music works, and I sort of demanded of myself that I find the answers, obtuse as they might be, about how this instrument works and how the language of music actually works. And that's what's allowed me to maintain my interest all these years and just get better and better as a player all the time and have more and more fun all the time. One of the big things you're going to learn in our program is that music is very much like a language. Have you ever heard anything like that before? We mean that absolutely literally, and as we go through our program, we're going to come up with countless analogies between the way you play music and what you do with the guitar, and the way you use language. Music has an alphabet, as you know, just like any language has, and we select units out of that alphabet and we form them into patterns. In the English language, we call those things words. In music, we call them chords and scales and melodies and things like that. And another analogy is if music is a language, then the instrument you play, like the guitar, for example, is really just very much like a typewriter, I say. It's not really the big deal. I always call it the dumb machine. This thing is the dumb machine here. It's just the tool that you use to execute the language, but it's not really where the music comes from. The music really comes from your mind. Like any language, most of what you do in your head. My great quote is, you don't play the guitar with your fingers, you play it with your head. Your head is just telling your fingers where to go. And what you'll come to find out, many people the hard way or too late or whatever, is if you don't understand at least the basics of how the language works, you're always going to be, to one degree or another, kind of mystified by the machine here. And you'll find out that most of the people around us, are, whether they choose to admit it or not, are kind of mystified by the instrument that they claim to play. And, through the course of our program, we're going to get you to totally understand how music works. After all, it's not all that complicated. It's just a simple language. Sometimes when I tell people music is a language and learning it is kind of like learning a language, they go, "Oh my God, I hated Spanish class." I go, "Well, it's not like that either, because compared to any of the spoken languages, music is about 1,000 times simpler." So music is very much like learning a simple language. Many of you have gotten the mistaken impression that it's horribly complicated and difficult to understand. It's simply not. Music is simple to understand. It's just that it's so often taught really badly that everybody thinks it's all that complicated, but it's really not. It's just like learning a simple language. And that will help you understand how the typewriter works. Why do you move your fingers around the neck of the guitar the way you do? How do scales work? If you're interested in improvisation, which so many of you are, being able to solo and stuff like that, how are melodies constructed? Remember, a guitar solo is just a melody. How do the notes in that solo connect with the chords underneath? You can kind of mess around and kind of experiment and stuff like that, and you might do okay, but you'll come to find out in many ways, one of the main things you wind up doing that way is just wasting a lot of time. If you get with a good program and learn how the language of music actually works, then what you do with your fingers on the fretboard of the guitar actually becomes, pretty painfully obvious, really, in the way. And it will get you to understand in a few short lessons, we'll get you to understand things that that I know people that have played for 20 years that don't know. I'm a private teacher. I have students all the time. They've been coming in and they've been playing like 15, 20 years. They can't answer some of the most fundamental and simple questions about how the language of music works. No wonder they've been frustrated all these years. And so, we've got plenty of technique-oriented stuff in our program as well, but really what it's all about is programming your mind to understand the language of music. And, that's what music theory is all about. And also, the other big thing we stress in our program is the whole concept of ear training. Have you ever heard of ear training? It might be the most important concept in becoming a real musician, is to train your ears. Music, after all, is an audio art form. The most important thing about these chords and scales and everything is what they sound like. And the process of ear training is just training your ears to memorize what these different patterns sound like so that you can recognize them when you hear them in the music around you. And that's how you figure out songs by ear. I know everybody wants to do that, to be able to just listen to a song and learn how to play it. Well, I can do that. Heck, I can do that really quick. I can do that with very complicated music because I've trained ears. I've worked very hard on my ears. I've had some great ear training coaches over the years, and they've really gotten me straightened out. Now, one thing to realize is, we show you how to do ear training all through our program. Another thing that you want to realize is you have to have a reasonable knowledge of how music works. You have to have a reasonable knowledge of music theory in order to be able to do any meaningful ear training because, how are you going to learn to recognize a 13 chord by ear if you don't even know what it is, So a little bit of music theory goes a long way, and then we'll show you how to train your ears, and away you go. You'll be able to do anything with music you want, and you'll shave years off of your ability, or shave years off the time it's going to take you to become the player that you want to be. And for many people, it's the difference between whether they ever really connect to the instrument or whether they just flop around for a few years in high school and college and then put the guitar away and it's pretty much over. And the other good news is it's a lot of fun too. Our program is a lot of fun, and you're going to enjoy yourself, and you're going to benefit from the information that you get, and it's a great thing. So I hope you'll come and join us with Absolutely Understand Guitar. You'll notice we have lots of free videos up here on YouTube, and you can also check out our bigger program at www.absolutelyunderstandguitar.com. Okay, well, have a great day, and we'll talk to you again real soon, okay? Bye-bye.